Hello everybody, this is Beauty of Algebra. Today we're going to be looking at something called the FOIL method. And if you're interested in looking at more resources, you can always visit my website at www.beautyofalgebra.com. So you may be wondering, what is FOIL? And a lot of times, FOIL is our everyday kitchen appliance. But unfortunately, this is not what we're going to be talking about for today. So it's not aluminum foil. The type of foiling I'm talking about is when we have two parentheses. FOIL stands for an acronym. The letter F stands for first, O stands for outer, I stands for inner, L stands for last. This is the order of events in which we would multiply each one of those numbers. However, I actually don't really follow the acronym. I follow more of just like a procedure, and I think that it's easier to remember using a procedure rather than following each letter. You'll see what I mean here in a minute. So if I take this problem right here, and it says, multiply the polynomial, simplify all the way, combining like terms. Instead of remembering first, outer, inner, and last, I really just start with that, I start with the first number, that 2x, the first one that I see. And I just imagine it kind of like an archer. The archer would have to shoot the first number in the other parentheses. You want to take 2 times 4 to get 8, and you have x times x. You add the exponents on the x terms. So you have 2x terms, so now you have 8x squared. Once you multiply that first number, then you want that same archer is going to shoot the second number. So 2x times 5 would give us 10x. All right, now let's go ahead and now we've exhausted all the possibilities for that first number. Now we go for the second number. That 3 needs to shoot the first number on the other parentheses. So you get plus 12x, and then 3 times 5 to get 15. The second goal from here is we want to combine any of our like terms. So a like term is something that really has the same last name. So you're looking at the letter. If I'm looking here, this one has an x to the first term and this one has an x to the first term. These would be our like terms. 10x plus 12x to get 22x. Since this is the only x squared, it doesn't match up with anything else since these were x to the first power, so we just bring this guy down. And then this 15 doesn't have an x term, and that's the only one of its kind, so we bring that one down as well. So this answer really comes out to give us 8x squared plus 22x plus 15. All right, let's take a look at another example here. So the second one that I have here, we're going to do the same procedure again. So we're going to start with the very first number. X needs to shoot the 3x to get 3x squared. X needs to shoot the 4 to get plus 4x. Negative 2 now needs to shoot the 3x to get negative 6x. And now negative 2 needs to shoot the 4 to get minus 8. Let's combine the like terms. So we have 4x and negative 6x to get a negative 2x. Bring down the negative 8 and bring down the 3x squared. Your answer is going to be 3x squared minus 2x minus 8. I want to show you kind of a common trap with these problems. So this is right here. You have 4x minus 5 squared. So this first part, I'm going to show you what not to do. I actually literally, it sounds childish, but I've actually had nightmares over this. I would look over a student's shoulder, so the nightmare would go, nightmare looks like this. I'm looking over a student's shoulder, and they make this mistake. They want to tell me that this is 16x squared plus 25. They just distribute that too, and boy, that's not right at all. Please don't do that. I woke up in a nervous sweat. That is a nightmare if you do that, an absolute nightmare. So what I recommend is this is actually telling you to multiply this parenthesis twice. So you actually need to rewrite this first before you do anything else. Do not distribute that 2n. Don't distribute an exponent. Yikes. You got to write this parenthesis twice. If there's one thing you learn from this video, make sure that you write this parenthesis twice. So that's 4x minus 5 times 4x minus 5. Then from there, we can use the FOIL method to solve this out. So 4x times 4x is 16x squared. 4x times negative 5 is minus 20x. Negative 5 times 4x is negative 20x. And negative 5 times negative 5 is plus 25. Combine any like terms to get our final answer at the bottom. So we get 16x squared minus 40x plus 25. This FOIL method could even be applied really to larger parentheses. So I call this a super duper FOIL. So I call this a super duper FOIL. The reason why is instead of just 2 numbers in each of the parentheses, that second one right here, that has 3 terms in it. It's a longer problem. It's super duper. I even put like a Superman in the upper right hand corner to kind of make my point here. But you still use the same method. It just takes a little bit longer. So what I mean is we want to take that very first term, that 3x. The 3x shoots the first number. So that'll give us 6x to the third. 3x times 7x to get plus 21x squared. Now take 3x times negative 8 to get minus 24x. Let's do a different color. Let's say blue. Now we got to do the negative 5 times 2x squared to get negative 10x squared. Negative 5 times 7x will give us a negative 35x. And then a negative 5 times a negative 8 will give us a positive 40. All right, we have a lot more terms to simplify, but what I recommend doing is you have to look at the last name. So this is the only x to the third term. So let's just write that one right on down. Now I'm going to underline the x to the squared term. So I'm going to kind of organize it for myself. We have 21x squared minus 10x squared, which will give us a positive 11x squared when we combine those. Then let's say we circle the other ones, negative 24x and negative 35x. Those are going to combine to give us negative 59x. And then the only one that has no x term is that 40, and we can just bring that one straight down. So that's 6x to the third plus 11x squared minus 59x plus 40. All right, so really the only thing better than Superman or super duper foil, I think the best superhero ever is the Flash. So this is 3 terms for every parentheses. This is the best superhero. This is the super duper duper foil. So this one is about as tough as they get. So let's go ahead, and we're still using the same method. You got to take the x squared times the 4x squared. So we get 4x to the fourth. We need to write small for this, x squared times negative 7x to get a negative 7x to the third power. And then x squared times 5 to get a 5x squared. All right, different color to organize this. 2x times 4x squared. So that's where we're at now. So we're going to get a positive 8x to the third. And then let's take the 2x times the negative 7x to get a minus 14x squared. And now let's take the 2x times the 5 to get the positive 10x. All right, different color to kind of wrap this up. Now let's take the negative 3 times the 4x squared. So we're going to have a minus 12x squared. Negative 3 times a negative 7x to get a positive 21x. And then a negative 3 times a 5 to get a minus 15. That's a lot of multiplication. Now let's take a look at combining any of our like terms. So if I'm looking here, the only 4x to the fourth, or the only x to the fourth term is that 4x to the fourth. Let's write that down. All right, here we go. Let's circle the x to the third terms. We have negative 7x to the third. We have a plus 8x to the third. And those are our only 2x to the third terms. Those add together to give us a plus 1x to the third term, or just plus x to the third. Now let's organize the x squareds. Let's say we put a scribble under those, highlighting all the x squared terms. We have 3 of them. Positive 5x squared minus 14x squared minus 12x squared. will give us a minus 21x squared. And then now we're on to just our normal x to the first terms. So we can just, we have a 10x and a 21x. Those are going to combine to give us a positive 31x. And then the only other term is the ones without the x terms, which is really just that negative 15, which we just cut down. That's your super duper duper FOIL. Again, this has been a Beauty of Algebra. I hope you enjoyed this video. And you can always, if you have any more questions or looking for more resources, you can visit my website at www.beautyofalgebra.com. Thank you.